Hello and welcome to Center Ice Cardcast, your one-stop podcast shop for all things hockey cards. My name is Eric Andrews, also known in the hobby as Hammerhawks. I'm joined by my co-host and fellow hobbyist Aaron Goldstein, better known in the hobby as Crease Collector. So this episode is going to be all about the 2022 Fall Expo, and living nearby, Aaron was able to check out the show for a couple of days. So, of course, with him having that experience at the show, Aaron is largely going to be the one going through this episode. I know that I've seen some of the things that he got and haven't seen others, so I'm excited to see, what all you got. And I'm thinking there's no possible way that you could have gotten anything nearly as epic as the Enroth Maple Leafs jerseys for your collection, but I guess we'll see what those surprises are that you might have in store. So, with that, Aaron, take it away and tell us all about the 2022 Fall Expo.
Definitely. I mean, the expo is awesome. Like every year, I just really enjoy, getting to spend time with all the other collectors and checking out the booths and just seeing like what's in store for me just as a collector. I'm not really, the investor type, I'm sure you guys know that by now. So just like kind of looking through those boxes and finding, the cards that I can add to my little collection is always just super fun. For those who've gone to the expo, there is a just insane amount of cards, and just if you haven't been, you gotta go. And as soon as you do go, you'll kind of realize what I'm talking about. It's just an overwhelmingly amount of just hockey cards everywhere. And there's some other stuff too, Pokemon and other non-sport too, but just it's just hockey card heaven for sure. So this year I went on Saturday and Sunday, and it was just jammed packed on both days. I heard from the dealers and stuff that Friday was just weirdly just jammed packed, like probably the busiest day. So I would love to see how that all turned out, but I wasn't able to make it, unfortunately. So yeah, just Saturday, Sunday for me. Got there at about noon on Saturday. And just first off, the parking was not the greatest. Again, for those listening who did attend, just not great. I mean, I imagine the other years being a bit better, but I mean, for whatever reason this year, it was really bad. So anyway, so after fighting through traffic and just abandoning my car in the streets, I eventually just made my way into the expo doors and just walked through and got my little wristband and started making my way around the expo. And the layout this year was a little bit different. So like the previous expo, they did have a separate hall for other booths. In years past, they have been just, exclusively in hall number 5. And this year, they opened up a little bit of hall 4, along with a hallway to kind of, connect those two halls with some booths and things like that there as well. So there was definitely a lot to see and just a lot of activity going on in whatever area you were kind of in at the expo. So I first made my way, one, because the hallway and seeing just that lineup of booths is really enticing. And two, because I didn't really know where I was going. So I made my way down the hall and towards, I guess, the secondary hall, hall number 4 first. And I made my way there, and I really enjoyed going through that hallway there because say what you will about Hall 5, it's definitely, the showstopper, like where the majority of the activity is. But, like I found a lot of the booths in the hallway and in Hall 4 to be quite awesome. A lot of nice dealers there. They're all willing to work with you, and they had a lot of nice things. I picked up probably the majority of the stuff I found from those first booths in that hallway there going towards hall 4. So just a secondary note there. A lot of people at, these shows kind of felt that, the hall 4 or whatever was kind of ignored or not known by collectors. But I found, if you're going to other expos, like definitely try to focus on hall number 5, the main hall, but also, don't be afraid to, venture out and, check out the other booths that there. They're not the highlight ones, but definitely there's some, deals to be found for sure. So probably looked around for the total in both halls for a couple hours, typical show stuff. You'll see your Crosby's, Ovechkins, McDavid, Gretzky's, and pretty much every display case. Prices are kind of outrageous for a lot of stuff, but you really got to be on your game and searching through those boxes, or, trying to negotiate with some dealers if you do want a deal. And they're hopefully willing to work with you. But I think, for the most part, I found that a lot of stuff was very overpriced. And so, if you brought a lot of cash, great. But if you're looking for a deal, you're going to have to work that much harder and look a little bit more, and take your time. But overall, I found it was a good experience. And it's not really my game, that super high end stuff, but I still found it very enjoyable, even though the majority of the stuff wasn't particularly what I was looking for. Just as a collector, just seeing those cards in person is always, a treat for me anyway. So I just definitely found in every booth, just there's always something to look at and there's always something to see. So I guess I should go into my pickups, like while I'm going here, or wait till the end. But I guess I'll start out with like my first pickup here. I did go on day two, I should mention, but it was a really short day for me. I'll go into reasons why in a little bit, but I found a one last card, and then I kind of made my way out of there. So more into that in a moment. But yeah, my first pickup was in that initial hallway. When I first got there, just was looking through a couple of the first booths, that I saw, and I noticed a little side box there, and I noticed that they were all filled with the 0506 Beehive cards, and they were the oversized ones. For those who have been collecting around that time period, maybe you were a fan of them, maybe you weren't, but I definitely was a fan, and so I picked up the Martin Brodeur 5x7 Beehive photo card. Very cool. Just always wanted the Brodeur one and could never, get it in a pack. And so this one for me was kind of cool. So I picked that up for a whopping 75 cents. So, I mean, I know that I talked about things being overpriced, but this one was marked down. I think it was like $6 or $7, but now it went down to 75 cents. So, steal of a deal, I think. Not bad. So, and that's 75 cents Canadian, for those wondering. So pretty much free if you're looking at, US funds. So anyway, so that was my first card. Honestly, I could have left the expo with this and been really happy. Like just, I don't know, just anything 0506 just, kind of gets me. It's the year that I started to get serious about collecting. So cards like these are just really fun. And obviously, when adding to my Roder collection, any edition kind of matters. And then the second edition that I found was in Hall 4, kind of the neglected hall. But I found this one booth there with a ton of 0506 sets, SB Game Use, SBA, just a lot of these obscure or jersey numbered autograph sets. They had like seemingly the whole run. It was crazy. I think they had this set that I'm about to show you, but also, the significant autographs from that year. Really cool cards. And just, he seemingly had just, I guess he was a set collector or bought someone else, but just seemingly had everything from 0506 and just really cool booth there. I had a lot of fun going through that and could have spent my whole budget on that booth alone, but I decided to just, I guess, go on a little bit of a Brodeur fever here and pick this one up from my collection. So it's from, I know, Eric, that you were going to guess the set, but I'm not sure if you were close at all, but it is from 0506 SB Game U. It is the authentic fabric sets and is the patch version of Martin Brodeur. So
Ooh,
I
very
loved
nice.
this set as a kid. It is very nice. Like I remember my first jersey card that I ever got on eBay was the authentic fabrics jersey version of Brodeur. Like I just thought it was just so cool. And this is one of the sets that just really spoke out to me. If you've been collecting since that time, you kind of know that era of collecting. It was very fun, and I think the designs were top notch. And so yeah, just a good mix of that smaller jersey window, I guess that turn of the century sort of new game used era of collecting, and definitely kicking up a notch in 0506. So really cool. They don't make them like this anymore, I don't think. Just really nice, and obviously to get the patch version is really cool. They made a lot of these. It's numbered out of 75, so just not the rarest card in the world, but I mean, considering being 0506, I mean, definitely a great grab. I mean, the guy had the whole set there, the autograph versions too. He had the dual versions. It was just, he had everything from this set, and so it's a set that definitely like means a lot to me. And so to find the Brodeur, to go along with the jersey version I had, really cool. So this was an awesome pickup there, and yeah, I was really excited about that
How much did that set you back?
one. It was about, how much was this? It was about like $25 or something,
Not bad.
$30. So yeah, not bad at all. Like originally, I think it was priced at like 40, but I got him down. I think it was, yeah, 30 around there. So not bad at all. I mean, probably could have got it a little bit cheaper if it was, on a Sunday or something, but maybe a little bit of an overpayment. But I mean, it's a show, you're going to pay those prices, or someone else is going to buy it from you. And there was a lot of people around that group looking through those same boxes. So yeah, just had to grab it, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's a good price too. So
Yeah, like I saw the Luongo there for going for over that amount in another booth and a couple other players. And so I think that price was really fair, you know, especially again, the older you get when looking at these 0506 sets. I know there are a lot of set collectors too. And so 75, not the rarest thing, but considering its age, you know, I don't mind that at all. It's weird thinking, you know, an 0506 card would be, I guess, you know, not vintage, but, you know, getting older. But it's definitely, you know, that early 2000s kind of jersey card. So it's or patch card. So yeah, really cool. And yeah, I don't mind that at all.
very true. Yeah, that's I definitely would not have guessed that. So
Okay,
my
cool.
my initial thought, because I know last time you were raving about 0304 top C55. So I was thinking maybe you found like the Flurry rookie card or like something like that.
Right, right. I mean, I saw a lot of flurries for sure. Yeah, so after those pickups there, I just made my way over to the dollar bins. Definitely a fan favorite for sure, and picked up these next two cards. Nothing crazy, it cost me $1 for both of these cards. So, first one is up from 1718 SBA, and it is the rookie year milestones of Terry Sawchuk. So I always really enjoyed these insert cards, and so to add one to my collection is just really fun. Like just a really fun card that I really enjoyed. Just kind of celebrating that awesome rookie year that he had is just really neat. So definitely a cool throwback photo with, of course, a modern card look is always really nice. So a great set, and yeah, it was nice to pick one of those up. And then the next one, again, nothing super fancy. I really enjoy this brand, 1516 Champs Hockey. Just a base card, a limited short printed base card of Dominic Hasek. So just a huge fan of the designs, and I'm like, yeah, that's so cool. I always wanted to pick up, you know, a base card or two from the set, and I finally did. So again, nothing super crazy, but if you can find, you know, a cheap card of the Dominator, you do it. So very cool. Yeah, like I knew that you would like these cards, Eric. I mean, definitely, you know, low end, but still fun.
Yeah, fun product for sure. I opened a box of that
Really
1516 champs back in the day. I don't know if I got that card or not. I don't think I did. I think you got one, maybe one of those high series short prints per box. I know I got Solani, so I
nice.
think that's the only short print I got. But yeah,
Still nice, still nice. This next one actually, it's not a card, which is gonna kind of throw people for a loop. So I'm really a big fan of advertising personally. I know, you know, with the whole NHL and the digital ads, I hate those, but just advertising in general, marketing, I'm just a big fan. And so to pick this one up, I knew they existed, but to find one at the expo was something I never thought I would ever find. So every time I go to the expo, there's always one or two booths that are just sort of old school, like really old school. Like I don't mean old school cards. I mean, there's a lot of booths that have some vintage, but just really old school. So I was walking by and I saw that sort of a booth again, and I was looking around and I didn't really see too much. And the dealer was in conversation with someone else, you know, like trying to find something he was looking for, and that's cool. And so I made my way back a little bit later to see if he had something that I wanted. Definitely looked like his booth would be something that could maybe help me out. I had a lot of old school like hockey photo albums, old magazines, things like that. Like old ads for cards and things like that. Just really oddball stuff. So I like that stuff. Again, I think that stuff is just really cool. Not like cards really, but still, you know, it's definitely a sector of the hobby that I really enjoy. And so I actually just asked him if he had any of this at all. And he said, yes, he did. And he showed me it, and I found the one I wanted, the exact version. And it's actually a piece of advertisement from a newspaper, very old newspaper, for the old school Beehive photo cards. So I'll just show that there. I'll show a picture on Instagram shortly for those who haven't seen it, or you know, or would like to see it. I've shared a picture of it before in an article, just because I thought that was really interesting. And so to own a copy myself is just really neat. So for those who don't know the history of these Beehive photo cards, is that these newspaper prints were distributed across the country. This was a French version. So back in the day, the St. Lawrence Starch Company started this promotion that if you were to sort of send in, a proof of purchase for any of their Beehive golden corn syrup or any of the other products that they made, you would get sent, a photo card of your choosing. And it was a very, very long promotion. I believe it lasted over 30 years, like something like that. I believe from like the 40s, maybe, or like the 30s to the 60s or something like that, like a long time. And it was, as far as Canada goes, it was probably our longest consumer promotion. I believe Tim Hortons Roll Up the Rim comes close to that. But yeah, so it's kind of like obscure, but that's where the Beehive photo cards come from. So like another reason why I wanted to pick up that brochure. Like I didn't know I would find, an original piece of advertisement when I bought that card, but definitely something that I personally enjoy about the hobby. I do have the original Shocks Plant one pictured as a hab in my own collection when doing some research, and I found out about these original Beehive photo cards. And so to get the original piece of advertising that would accompany this offering is just super cool. So picked that up, and it sent me back like 25 bucks, but I think for, a vintage piece of advertisement there, I think it was definitely well worth it. And how many of these do you really find? So, I thought it was kind of like a really rare pickup. And yeah, I'm really glad that I was able to add that. Did not expect that at all.
Yeah, that's super cool. I mean, it's just, like you said, it's something really unique and different that you just don't see. I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen one of those before. So I know when you sent me a picture after you picked it up, I was like, oh, like that's pretty cool. Like you just don't see that kind of stuff all that often. So yeah, I mean, hearing that story about how that's something that you'd specifically been looking for is super, super cool. So to be able to actually find one and obviously acquire it for your collection is just awesome.
Definitely. I thought so too. Just a really, really cool piece for sure. All right. And now we're kind of winding down day one. The majority of my pickups were on day one. And so I was doing some more dollar box digging. And I came across this card sort of, I'm not sure if it was like mislabeled or if the person just didn't really care about these sort of inserts too much and was more focused on the high end. I believe that was the case because they had a lot of high end stuff that they were really sort of pitching to anyone that came by. So nothing too crazy, but it is a card of not a goalie, which is really strange, for those listening, just totally out of nowhere. But it is a 13-14 score black season highlights parallel of Sidney Crosby. So, I mean, how could you not like Sidney Crosby? I mean, he's awesome. So, just picking up a rare card of Crosby is really cool, and only paid like $2 for it or something like that. I think even less. And it was just so cool, and I really like obscure parallels, especially the score black parallels. I just think they're really sharp, just kind of blacked out, just kind of the murdered out text. Just really cool. So it's not the base version, which I think is worth more, but not that it's about value, but it is, the insert version, but still cool. I mean, I have no idea how much they made of these, but yeah, it celebrates his fifth fastest to 400 assist milestone that season. So just a really, really cool card. And yeah, these are kind of the ones that, you find at expos. You dig through boxes, you're going to find stuff of value. And it's one of those ones where I don't specifically look for, but it just sort of appeared. And I'm like, yeah, that's really cool. I'm going to grab that.
Yeah, to me that's like a stereotypical like textbook example of a show card, like a show pickup. Not a player that you would be picking cards up of, frequently, not a set that you collect. Go down the list. There's no reason that you would necessarily go out of your way to normally pick that up, but you're just flipping through a box, you see it, you say, that's really cool. The price is good. I'm going to grab it. It's a cool card. So yeah, I love that you picked that up. And those cards are really cool regardless of who they are, especially given the scarcity. But the fact that it is Crosby and it's the Penguins, the black really goes well with it. So I think that's just kind of a nice little added bonus too. But yeah, I mean, hard to go wrong with a scarce parallel of Crosby, regardless of, if it's a low end product and, whatever else obviously there's a reason it's a cheaper card. It's not, a huge money card, but that's okay. It's still a really cool card. So yeah, when you showed me that, that was definitely one that I was like, that's a cool card.
Definitely. I mean, when you describe, a show pickup, I think that's the perfect example of one too. Yeah, like at the expo where, like I said at the beginning, just endless amounts of hockey cards. I mean, those sort of show pickups are kind of all over the place. You're gonna have to search a lot and find them, but they're definitely there. If you can, spend a couple of hours and kind of look through things, and you're gonna find a lot of things that the dealers themselves don't even know they have. Like there's boxes from all years and just a ton of stuff to really, search through. So for those who haven't been, if you ever do go, definitely spend some time searching. It's a pain, but it definitely pays off. And it's just, definitely a fun way to find some really cool cards for your collection, whether you were looking for it previously or not. And now brings me to my final pickup of day one. I found this very shortly after, and it was in that awesome first hallway that I first arrived in when I got to the expo. I picked it up towards the end of the day because I wanted to check out that hallway one more time because I really liked a lot of the stuff I saw there, and it wasn't as crowded as hall number 5. So definitely, it allows you to really take your time and really look at the cards they have, and just really, really cool kind of area for me. So I thought I would try my luck again, and it definitely paid off. It was a booth that I had previously checked out, but it was sort of in passing, and I didn't really get, a full view of, the front part of the table, just because there was so many people. And so made my way back there and had a second look. And I'm glad I did, like I said, because I, was looking at a couple of the cards, and I noticed they had, there was other dealers that had similar cards from the set for sure, but I noticed they had a couple autograph cards from the 0809 Upper Deck Masterpieces brushstroke set. And I said, oh, that's really cool. I wonder if they have the, and then there it was, on the opposite end of the table, I found this card from that very same set. It's a card that I've been looking for my goalie collection for a good couple of years now. They're out there, but for a lot more than I'm willing to pay. And every time it comes up on auction or I buy it now for a cheaper price, it always just gets snatched away. So it's one of those ones where, it was kind of right place, right time, and the price was a lot cheaper than what I've seen elsewhere. And so I was like, you know what, this is perfect. So I picked up, like I said, it's from 0809 Masterpieces, and it's the Mayo Rayon autograph card from that set. Just for those who know the card, it's just so iconic with, I think, a very cool pioneer moment in goaltending history, but also hockey history, with Rayon being the first female to ever play in the NHL. And so I think it's a really cool moment for hockey. I don't think she's the last personally, but I think it was a really cool moment for sport overall. And just this was the first card that she had, the first autograph card she had pictured as a member of the Lightning. And so to pick up that card for the collection was just awesome. And seeing it at a show was really cool. As soon as I added that card, I was like, man, like this expo was 100% a success. And yeah, like I was happy walking out of there day one. I almost didn't go back for day two because I was like, you know what, like I'm good. I spent the budget that I had, and I was happy with that. And I came away with some really cool cards. I don't really need to go back for day two, but I'm glad I did, and I'll go through why in a bit. But yeah, just a really cool card, and just yeah, one of my favorite pickups I've had in a little while, and just an awesome looking card too. So for those who are not on video with us now, you'll see this on Instagram very shortly. But definitely a set that some of you are probably familiar with, but a very cool card for my collection for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it really is an iconic card within the hockey card hobby, for a number of reasons. You talked about the historical component of Manon and what she accomplished in her career, but even just that product and that set were very widely collected and very popular cards and everything, and they still are to this day. So, combine all of those things into one package and you have that card, and it's very understandably a highly desirable card that does have a good amount of value. So to be able to add that to your collection is awesome. I know for me, even not being specifically a goalie collector or a Lightning fan or, whatever it might be, that's still a card that I think one day I would like to have in my collection too, just because of, everything that we said a minute ago, what it, kind of represents all in one nice package. Just a really cool card, and I'm glad that you're able to grab it for your collection. I'm curious, you don't have to share if you don't want to, but do you remember how much you paid for it?
So I paid 70 for this card, and so I found out that it's kind of like the lingo these days, but it definitely was, under comps for sure with what this card usually sells for. I've been outbid on it many times for a lot higher price, and so to get it at that price, it was, all the cash I had left. So it was definitely, really well timed. I believe the sticker price was a little bit over that, but I just said, hey, it's all the cash I have left. Like, would you do this for it? And he's like, that's fine. So another thing to note is that dealers are very human, and so they're definitely willing to work with you for cards like these for sure. So yeah, it was a great, find for sure. And it was just great. So I'm glad I definitely went back to that area and tried to have another look at those booths. And I'm glad I did. So just a really nice card. And yeah, that was a very successful day one. And we will move on to day two. Again, very, very short day two. I get there, I walked around a little bit, didn't find anything that I could add, especially coming off a very successful day one. I was just sort of walking around and just sort of, if there was any sort of quote unquote like must haves, then I would, jump at it, a card on your want list or something like that. But just going for the sake of going, the fact that I had sort of succeeded on day one, this was just sort of, if I pick up anything great, if not, no big deal. And I took a few pictures of some booths, and there was one card in particular that when I saw it, I knew that I had to just casually, flip a picture to Eric when I saw it. And you'll see why in a few minutes. But I saw this card that Eric has always wanted for his collection. Definitely not a low end piece or anything like that. Definitely a very significant card, both in terms of high end cards and also just terms of just weight and sort of history in the hobby itself. So I'll let Eric show off the card. He just got his mail in today with the card, so from me. So I'll let him open it up and give a little bit more explanation on what the card is and why he wanted it for his collection. And yeah, I'll leave the floor to him. But I'm just really, really glad that I was able to sort of make that deal and help send that card to its rightful home in your collection.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you again very, very much. Obviously, a huge, huge assist on your behalf. So thanks again for doing that. So yeah, as Aaron said, just got this package in the mail as of the day that we're recording. So it is still literally sealed. I am cutting open the package as we are talking right now. You did a nice job with the packaging. Lots of tape. Keep it secure.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, just tried to do it. And speaking of assists, I got an assist yesterday in a hockey game.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, man. I went behind the net to play the puck. I never do this, but I played the puck. I felt brave to play the puck. And I stopped behind the net and just flicked it to my teammate. There was no opposition around, so that's why I did it. It was just sort of a dump in. And then he flipped it to our teammate, and then he just went pretty much end to end and scored our only goal of the game. We lost the game, but still, it was a clutch assist.
You were channeling your inner Marty Brodeur.
Oh, I know. I thought of that after the game and while going through these pickups. I'm like, oh man, I knew years and years of being a fan of Marty finally paid off with an assist. So I've got a couple in my sort of, I guess, career, if you want to call it that. But this one was sort of like, I guess, one of my first purposeful, like play the puck and try to get an assist. So I'll chalk that up as a win.
Nice.
Even though we lost the game.
That's okay. All right, so I'm into the box. I know you did a lot of inner packaging. So let's see. Open the box and pull out kind of this like makeshift cardboard envelope type thing.
Yep.
Nicely done.
Just had to make sure the envelope didn't slide around.
Yep. Then inside that is a bubble mailer. Then we've got a bubble mailer. And then another bubble mailer. And here's the card. Okay. So here we go. I was telling Aaron that I don't even think I've ever seen one of these cards in person before, but has always been, a card that I thought was really cool. And over the last couple of years has become a card that I've really wanted to have for my collection. And you guys might remember hearing about it earlier on the podcast, but has quickly risen to pretty much the top of my want list. So obviously, when Aaron sent me a picture of the card, I was like, oh man, we got to try to figure this thing out. Like, if there's any way to make this work, we got to do it. So fortunately, obviously, it worked out. And the card is absolutely beautiful in person. Just awesome. Just awesome. Wow. Truly, truly a piece of history. So the card is from 2000, 2001, Be a Player memorabilia. And it is, of course, the George Vezina game worn pad card, the V16 card. So this is like pretty much one of the most iconic memorabilia cards, I would say, in hockey card history. So obviously, being a Vezina collector myself, this was a card that I had been wanting to add to the collection for quite a while. And yeah, like I said, obviously Aaron saw the card at the show and sent me a picture, and there was a sticker price on it that was probably a little bit more than I wanted to pay. But knowing that that was the guy's initial asking price, I was like, okay, like we can probably figure something out here for this. So I had Aaron go back and eventually work out a deal for it. But yeah, just an awesome card. And again, thank you so much, Aaron. Really appreciate all the help with getting this into my hands because this is just an amazing card.
Happy to help. It's a really great card, and I'm so glad that you can enjoy it. It's amazing. Even seeing that card in person too, you told me like, oh, like I haven't seen one in person, so definitely like let me know how it looks. And I was like, man, this thing is sweet. So I'm just really glad that you can add it to your collection, and I'm kind of glad that I can enjoy it too for at least a couple days before shipping it out. It was really cool to have for a couple days and just enjoy it. And yeah, definitely a piece of hockey card history, that's for sure. Another cool thing to note actually is that you think that this card once belonged to Vesna's grandson, also part of his collection, which is a really cool thing to note too.
Yes, absolutely. So for those who aren't super familiar with Vesna stuff and some of the bigger players in the Vesna collecting world, AJ Vesna is the grandson of George Vesna, and he over the years has just assembled a huge amount of Vesna cards, whether that be memorabilia, whether that be vintage. Actually, the Vesna rookie card that I have in my collection, I bought from AJ a number of years ago, so kind of cool in that regard. But yeah, these specific cards, really all of the cards from this set, but especially this V16, that's, the Vesna only card. AJ had a ton of these in his collection back in the day. And, you guys see how giant this slab is that the card is in. And that's how PSA did slabs for memorabilia cards back in the day. They hadn't really figured out how to do a smaller slab that would work for a thicker card at that point. So this is kind of what they did back in the day. And these cards, I believe, have a print run of 20. There's been some discussion about if that's really accurate or not, but that's kind of the number that people have always landed on. So of those 20 cards, at one point, I believe AJ had 14 of the 20 because there are 14 copies of this card that are graded by PSA, and he was the one that submitted them. And I believe, probably most, if not all of them, are still in these just ridiculously big slabs still to this day. So that's kind of a telltale sign of if it's a card that AJ had in his collection at one point. And then he still has some of his cards that are listed on eBay and stuff like that. And even just looking at the certificate number, I know that it's kind of within that range of the cards that he had submitted. Like this one ends in 6200. And one of the cards that he has listed on eBay still today, the last four numbers of the certificate code are 6201. So obviously this was part of that same submission batch as well. So yeah, I mean, it's obviously a really cool card and significant card in its own right. But knowing that at one point this used to be owned by Vesna's grandson himself and being part of his collection is a really cool little added tidbit for sure. So thanks for bringing that up. That's a good point and a nice little bonus part of the story too. But speaking of the story, I want to hear your perspective on how this all went down from the moment that you first saw the card until you were walking out the door with it.
For sure. Okay. So yeah, like I know there's some high-end stuff. And if you go there with, a specific card in mind, chances are, you're probably gonna find it. But with cards like these, it's just different because yes, it's high end, but just the fact that it's so rare, it's from, a year from 2000, and of course, of Vesna, you just don't know. It's just such a rare set. And so to see one of those in person was just really surprising. Even for me being at an expo, it was just one of those cards that I'm like, man, like I did not see, like I didn't think to see one of these there. And so I sent you a picture just kind of casually, like, hey, you know, look at what I found type thing. And then I went to get some pizza because it was kind of I was kind of hungry, and I went to get some food. So while I did that, you, of course, saw the message and was like, hey, I guess you were in a buying mood, and just, hey, like, let's see if we can get something done. So, long story short, did go back and made the deal as kind of like a third party, and got the card, and it was my first high end deal in person, and so slinging down all that cash felt like just $1 million. I felt like such a rich person. It was awesome. It was probably the first and last moment I'll ever feel rich, but I did, and it was fantastic. I would definitely recommend it to become rich so you can have this more often. I am not rich, but if I was, I can imagine that just day to day life is just like that, just slinging down cash, thousands of dollars for a $1 cup of coffee, just doing it because you can. This was not a $1 cup of coffee. This was a Vesna memorabilia card, one of the first ones ever made. It was just amazing that Vesna's grandson used to own himself. So I was slinging down money for a purpose. It was fantastic. It was a great feeling. And then the fear set in. I had this card in my possession. The deal was done. People were around. They'd seen this thing happen. I'm probably going to get jumped or killed or whatever. Or they're going to threaten to steal all my Enroth cards if I don't give them this card. So then the fear set in. So again, I'm not a high-end dealer or anything like that. So I just got out of there real fast. I just put it in my backpack. Yeah, I wasn't sure if people could like steal my backpack or something like that. So then the fear set in. It was a horrible feeling. So if you don't like big risks, do not deal in high-end hockey cards. I know there is higher end cards out there, but it was just a really kind of scary moment. So I put it in my backpack and I just got out of there as fast as I possibly could. So it was a great moment. Even out in the parking lot, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get jumped or something, but it was fine. So I got in my car, I locked the car, and I was like, nice, I have this card. It's great. And part of the fear was because it wasn't mine, it wasn't for me. So like I would feel terrible if I got the card and then something happened to it. So luckily nothing did. I got it home and yeah, shipped it out, and I'm glad that it finally made it to you. And so that burden of high-end hockey cards could be safely passed over to you. So
And then do you also, I know you had been sharing a little bit with me about just like talking with the dealer and getting a little bit of, background story on the card and stuff like that. You want to share about that?
yeah, so the dealer made note of it that it was a card that he picked up for his own collection and thought that he was going to keep it, forever. And for whatever reason, just decided to sell it, and make it available. And yeah, I was really reasonable with it, considering it was a once, cherished PC card for him. It wasn't something he bought to sell or anything like that. So it was definitely a card that was there by chance, both in finding it and also that the collector was able to, make this available, from his own personal collection. So just, the stars aligned, and it was just a really cool hockey card moment for me too. It was great.
Yeah, for sure. So special shout out, Matt Chang. I know that, you're the one that worked with Aaron on this. So again, thank you very much for doing that and being able to work with us on it and get it into my hands. Really appreciate it. Yeah, just a cool story for sure. And again, Aaron, thanks so much for doing that. Means the world. And you guys have heard us talk about this card in the past, on that top wants episode that we did earlier this year, but this specific card, this specific copy of the card really stuck out to me because of that pad piece in particular. Having the leather with all of the stitching on there is just a spectacular copy of the card. And we were even talking before we started recording that, yeah, it's nice that it's graded 9, but that really doesn't even matter that much in the context of this card. Not that it doesn't matter at all, because it does, it plays into it a little bit. It's nice to know that it is a 9. It's not, something much less, but, and even just having the slab and, keeping it protected. But to me, the grade was kind of irrelevant. It was really just about, this is a really nice copy of the card. So that's what I was focused on. And, pretty much right away when I saw that picture that you had sent me, I could tell that it was, a nice copy of the card. Obviously, it was leather. And I thought that I had, could make out the row of stitching on there, and then I asked you and had you go back and look at it and send me more pictures and the whole 9 yards and stuff. But yeah, obviously, finding a copy like this for my collection is exactly what I was hoping for. So yeah, just to have this be a reality is obviously just amazing. So yeah, again, huge thank you, Aaron. Obviously, this would never have happened without you, and even just the thought for you to see the card and take a picture of it. You don't do that, this never happens. So again, just thank you so much for doing that and keeping an eye out for me and being willing to execute something like this, because obviously it was not, a small, insignificant type of deal for sure. So, again, really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to do it.
So I think that pretty much wraps up, kind of your expo experience. Is there anything else that I'm missing that you want to add, or anything else you want to talk about?
No, that was pretty much it. Like definitely a full day Saturday for sure. And then Sunday was sort of, seeing that card, acquiring it, and then sort of like my day was pretty much like wrapped up on Saturday anyway. So this was, a fine way to end it for me. But yeah, definitely a great experience overall. Definitely going back. For those who haven't gone yet, definitely would recommend it. And take your time if you are. There's so much to look through. It is very overwhelming. You could spend your budget on the first couple booths if you really wanted to. So just, it was an awesome experience again. And also the autograph signers over the weekend were awesome. I didn't get any autographs or anything like that, but definitely, for those who are interested in that sort of stuff, a stacked lineup for sure. I think it was like Sundin, Belfour, Lindros, many, many others were there too. So just awesome, awesome stuff. Yeah, it was just a great experience overall.
For sure. Yeah, it sounds like you had a great time, and obviously you were really successful, for your own collection, obviously for mine as well. But yeah, I mean, you, between the Spring Expo and then this show, you had
Yeah,
a great 2022
oh, for
experience for the
sure.
expo.
For sure. Yeah, 2022 was awesome as far as the expos go. Was amazing. So I can't wait to see what 2023 brings, both for my collection overall and also, of course, at the expos that I attend. It's going to be great either way. It always is.
It's going to be hard to top that. I mean, getting two
Oh yeah, I won't
Enroth
top it. There's no way
jerseys.
I'm going to top it. Like I wasn't going in there trying to top it or anything, but it was just, yeah, it's going to be one for the ages for sure. We'll see what happens. I mean, you never know what you're going to find. But
That's
yeah, like
true.
like I think 2022, as far as my collection and for expos, it's going to be very hard to top that for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, getting the Enroth jerseys for yourself, and I mean, even the Plant advertisement, the Rayom autograph, the Brodeur patch is really sweet. I mean, even though you might not have gotten a ton of stuff, you really focused on the quality and what those things mean for your collection. So that's what I really appreciate about your experiences at shows, is that you're very, I don't know what the word is, but you kind of have a good idea of what you're trying to accomplish, and you don't stray from that. Where some people can kind of just get caught up in the moment of being at a show and seeing all of these cards and, oh, I'm going to buy a box. I'm going to buy, a nice card just because I want to, whatever. Whereas you say, no, like, if I see this, I'll grab it. If I, can find something like this and it's a good price, I'll grab it. You're very focused on what your goals are as a collector. And sometimes at a show that can be really restricting, but I feel like you're still able to get the most out of your experiences at the shows with what you're trying to accomplish, which is really, really cool.
Definitely. I think the term that you're looking for as far as collectors and stuff like that, or just what I'm doing is just poor, being poor, and not being able to participate. in, the high end stuff. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Super cool either way. No, but I totally get what you're saying. I'm just kidding. But yeah, definitely go in there with, sort of a mindset of what I want to try and accomplish and just see what I can find and just have fun with it. I think that is the main thing. So yeah, just overall, like I always have a fun time. And yeah, just I'm looking forward to see what 2023 expos bring, that's for sure.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see what that might bring, and hopefully it will come even remotely close to 2022, because if it does, I'm sure you'll be pretty pleased with the outcome. So, yeah, I think that'll pretty much wrap it up for this episode. Obviously, anytime we can recap a show that one of us went to is really fun, just sharing those experiences and, sharing the pickups and, all that kind of stuff is really fun. But then when it does have, something of significance for one of us, like the Vesna card or like the Enroth jerseys from the Spring Expo, whatever it might be, it kind of just takes those experiences to another level. So being able to share those stories with you guys is obviously really, really fun for us. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed hearing about Aaron's experience at the Expo. And I guess you also now learned that you don't even have to go to the Expo to get cards from the Expo. If you know the right people and right place, right time type of thing, you can pick stuff up from another country. So yeah, definitely a very good example of that it pays to be, friendly with other collectors and be connected and looking out for each other. Because, like I said earlier, without Aaron and without our relationship, this never would have happened. I never even would have known that Matt had this card, and there's no way I would have gotten it. So this is certainly a very good example of just be a good collector, a good part of the hobby community, and it'll definitely pay off in the long run for you and for many others as well. So that's
Definitely.
something important to keep note of in this as well. Yeah, so I think that'll wrap it up for this episode. Again, thank you so much for listening, guys. Really appreciate it. As always, please be sure to follow us on social media. We can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Sunrise Cardcast, and on Twitter at Sunrise CC. Please also be sure to subscribe to the show on your podcast platform of choice to make sure you never miss a future episode. Until next time on Sunrise Cardcast, keep collecting those hockey cards.